Hello and welcome to Views on News. I am Jawad Tehami. Pakistan's National Action Plan's Apex Committee meeting that was chaired by caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haq Kakar decided to deport all the illegal foreign immigrants who are residing in Pakistan. A deadline of the November 1st has been set regarding this particular matter, and they've been given time till 1st of November to either sell their properties, upon the violation of which they will face expulsion as well as the confiscation of those properties. Now, a caretaker Interior Minister Mr. Sarfraz Bukti told media after that particularly important huddle that there are 1.7 million illegal Afghan immigrants in Pakistan. He also told that out of 24 terrorist attacks that were carried out since January, Afghan nationals were found to be involved in 14 of them. Likewise, the IG police of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province says Afghan nationals were found involved in 75% of the suicide attacks that took place in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Now, regarding this particular important move by the Pakistani authorities, there had been a reaction from the interim Afghan authorities which have opposed this move, urging Pakistani authorities to revisit this particular policy. At the same time, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees spokesperson, while acknowledging Pakistan's generosity for having hosted millions of Afghan refugees for decades, has said that the United Nations is ready to provide support to Pakistan in creating a mechanism regarding managing and also registering the refugees. At the same time, we have seen the spokesperson of Pakistan's Foreign Office during the weekly news briefing clarified that this particular operation against the illegal immigrants is not targeted against a particular nationality. Also, in another major development, we have seen Pakistan's caretaker Foreign Minister Mr. Jalil Abbas Jilani holding a meeting with the Afghan interim Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi in Tibet, and Pakistan's Foreign Minister underscored that challenges confronting peace and stability in the region is to be addressed in collaborative spirit through collective strategies. Now, we'll be taking the expert opinion regarding the developments that are happening vis-a-vis the relationship between Pakistani authorities as well as Afghanistan, and this particular move, how significant this decision is in the wake of the recent resurgence of terrorism in Pakistan. For that, we are honored to have been joined in the studio by Brigadier Retired Muhammed Zeeshan. He is Director General at Center for Peace, Security and Developmental Studies. Brigadier Zeeshan, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. At the same time, we are being joined on Skype by Mr. Parvez Jamil. He is Senior Journalist. Mr. Parvez Jamil, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. Let me begin the discussion with you, Brigadier Zeeshan. Let's start with the response that has come from the interim Afghan authorities, with its spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid opposing this move of the Pakistani authorities of deporting the illegal foreign immigrants, particularly Afghan nationals from Pakistan, urging Pakistan to revisit a policy. Why do you think the Afghan authorities are not ready to take back their nationals?
Thank you very much, Jawad. It's a very important subject, and it has been now highlighted at the state level in Pakistan. First of all, we must acknowledge that these Afghan refugees and Afghan illegal immigrants are in Pakistan since some decades. It's not about few years, it's about some decades. And the number is pretty high, which is close to almost around 5 million. So at this point, what I want to say in with regards to the reaction or the statement which has come out of Kabul, the Afghan Taliban must realize that the state of Pakistan is running out of patience. They have certain responsibilities, and as we would be discussing the factors which have contributed in this decision by the Pakistani government that illegal immigrants will be repatriated or will be expelled from Pakistan. Afghan authorities will certainly not be ready anytime, irrespective of the warning or the cushion period which may have been provided. However, the Afghan government has to realize the issues pertaining to Afghan illegal immigrants faced by Pakistan. And this reactive statement should have been more responsible and mature.
So don't you think it shows the reluctance on the part of the interim Afghan authorities to take back their nationals, and why so?
It's not about taking back Afghan nationals only. It is about the Afghan domestic economy. Pakistan is, single-handedly contributing greatly in the domestic economics of Afghanistan. And a bigger part is based on of smuggling, which is being done by Afghans. We are the major suppliers of food grain in Afghanistan, and whatever happens with the Afghan transit trade, it also involves Afghans, and Afghans who are primarily residing in Pakistan. So these are some of the economic factors which are there, and Afghan Taliban may not be ready to tackle those factors. Other than that, we all know that terrorism is the key issue these days, and since last over 1 year, we are subjected to a surge of terrorism based on the operations or the militancy of Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan. And now there is no doubt or there is no ambiguity that TTP is only effectively undertaking its militancy and terrorism inside Pakistan because they have safe havens in Afghanistan. So, as I said earlier, that the state of Pakistan has run out of its patience.
Right. Let me move towards Mr. Parvez, Jamil, Mir. Mr. Amir, what's your understanding regarding when we specifically talk about this response that has come from the interim Afghan authorities regarding this move by the Pakistani authorities of deporting the illegal foreign immigrants? Why so much reluctance on the part of interim Afghan authorities when it comes to taking back their nationals?
I think it's possible. They are here not as citizens, but here as refugees, and someone political. We don't know. But the duty of the Afghan government, who proclaims that they look after the citizens, so why don't they take the citizens back? I mean, what is their problem? I mean, they came here because they thought there was disturbance, okay? Now, it is 44 years that these Afghan refugees are residing in Pakistan. They are residing in all the cities. And because of these people, as what Brigadier has said, we have suffered a backlash from the FATF because they say that smuggling and, money laundering and all that, this is all going on through the Afghans, the illegals. And even today, there's an influx of dollars, going out of Pakistan into Pakistan. So the question here, why the Afghan authorities are taking that concrete step of rehabilitating their refugees. Now, why they're not doing it? Very simple. We say that there might be sleeper cells here in Pakistan of some of them who might be facilitating these TTPs. We don't know, but always questions to that effect. Then we also know that these people are set permanently and they're doing business. Now, how can a refugee do business in Pakistan? This is up to us. I've always maintained that, countries who do not take constructive criticism on their own can never develop. So my questions would be, why did our authorities allow them to have businesses here? Why did they allow them to roam freely? They should be confined. They should have been confined as anywhere else. I mean, look at the refugees which went into Europe. They put them on a boat. And of course, because of some complications, but they still, isolated them. We haven't. We integrated them into our society, and today we are suffering the repercussion of international community, as well as what the brigadier said, that we're running out of patience, because if we do not take a firm step today, well, how do we know that there may not be another 300,000 more refugees coming into Pakistan in the event of a further escalation of this terrorism or violence? So I think these people who call us as non-NATO allies, well, they better come up with a solution and help Pakistan in this crisis, because this is a major crisis. We are losing food. We are losing food through smuggling, and we are losing lots of other commodities because of this this non-check, and that is the reason we're just not progressing on the side on the Western side. Now the other side is that the Afghan authorities must accept that the line of control, or what we call the Durran line, is the final line. It has been officially proclaimed in the 1954 Assembly of the British Parliament, and they've said that's it. So that means that's it. So why fight on it? There are 17 irregular routes between Afghanistan and Pakistan. When Pakistan blocks them, they start firing on our soldiers, as we've seen recently in the last few months. So this has got to come to a stop, where I think enough is enough.
Right, Brigadier Zeeshan, as you already mentioned, that there are around, the figure is very huge, around 5 million refugees residing here in Pakistan. So when it comes to giving this particular deadline of November the 1st, how gigantic an undertaking do you think it's going to be for the Pakistani authorities in order to trace and then send the illegal immigrants back to Afghanistan?
Well, Jawad, this announcement hasn't come without proper homework. I believe, and I'm pretty sure, that some homework must have gone in, and they must be in pretty good picture that where are and who all are the priority illegal immigrants which have to be pushed out. Although that, considering that all Afghan refugees will be going back by 1st of November, that may not be possible. However, as has been highlighted by Mir Saab also, and I also said that, state of Pakistan has run out of its patience. Let me go back a little. Since the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, Pakistan hosted the Afghan refugees purely on the spirit of brotherhood, and that continued for another 12 years. Then after the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, Afghanistan itself went into a civil war situation. So at that time also the situation was not feasible for Afghan refugees to return. Then 9/11 happened. After 9/11, there was another surge of Afghan refugees crossing border into Pakistan. But subsequently, when the things settled under the watch of international coalition, primarily by United States, in 2010 and 12, by that time also the Afghan refugees were reluctant going back. What is the reason? The reason is there is no domestic economy in Afghanistan which can, feed and which can allow a middle or a lower middle class Afghani to survive there. So that is the reason they found refuge in Pakistan, and Pakistanis have been very, very understanding and open about it, as PJ Mir Saab has highlighted, that there are certain aspects of Pak-Afghan relations where Pakistanis have been flexible throughout. Now, why, the question is that why suddenly, or after deliberate thinking, why the state of Pakistan has given such a deliberate and strong statement that these illegal immigrants have to leave. All Afghans residing in Pakistan are not illegal immigrants. there is a part of it which is illegal immigrants. So the multiple factors are contributing into this decisions. Terrorism one. Previously, terrorism was certainly happening, but it was aided, funded by our arch rival India, while being very, hosted very warmly by Ashraf Ghani and Hamid Karzai governments in Afghanistan. But that changed. Now it is the Afghan Taliban who are in control at Kabul. They had to think about it. Their promises and the undertakings they have made that their soil will not be used for any security breach or threat to any neighboring country. Now, where is that promise?
Right, Brigadier Zeeshan, that brings us to a question that why the Afghan Taliban have been unable to fulfill that international obligation, particularly under the Doha peace deal that they made to the international community of not allowing the Afghan soil to be used for any terrorist activities. Recently, we saw there was a UN report that mentioned that there was nexus between the Band Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan and ISK. So you've also seen concrete action and decisive actions taken by the interim Afghan authorities against the ISK, but why would they not been able to take that concrete action equally against the Band Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan?
Well, we have been discussing this point at this forum also, and in Pakistan this subject is under discussion since last 2 years. The point is that Pakistanis showed flexibility and they wanted to give time to the interim Afghan government to come up to the realization of the promises they have made. But unfortunately, we do not find the Afghan interim government taking concrete steps with this regard. And the terrorism which is flowing out of Afghanistan is now affecting Pakistan at a level which is not acceptable. This is something which the Afghan interim government has to realize, that why Pakistani people and the government of Pakistan has been pushed or cornered to a level where they had to announce this. Whereas, as Mir Saab has said, that since last 42 years, we have been hosting Afghans and we have been pretty flexible about it. But Afghan interim government didn't realize. I think now they will be realizing it.
Right. Mr. Mir, why do you think the interim Afghan authorities, we know over 2 years time has passed now since the Kabul takeover by the Taliban back in August 2021, why they have been unable to take that concrete action specifically against the Band Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, as they had been taking action against the ISK, eliminating their key commanders?
Jawad, we mustn't forget that we are also fighting proxy verbal war in India. And I don't know if Brigadier Zeeshan and myself were I don't know if it's the same position, but when we were in Moscow, so much indoctrination in Pakistan that it's unbelievable. When they were the Soviets, and they were totally indoctrinated by the Indians and the media as well. But once we went there, Jawad, all of a sudden we pacified the situation and we told them that this is the actual truth and not what you've been fed. So we've got to tackle that side. Then the influence, the Indian influence into Afghanistan is also another factor which plays a very important part, which perhaps creates a lot of disturbance within our own country. So there are a lot of factors that need to be highlighted internationally. And I don't know, when we speak of the West, we look about the West, we look up to the West, that they don't take this world seriously. We've got a serious Kashmir issue, we've got an Afghan issue, we've got terrorism on the. And yet, every whole missions and things like that. But the actual the problem is actually overlooked. So I think that is one aspect at least Pakistan should be looking at in projecting its case internationally. Here, I can talk to you, Yaris can talk to you, and we all talk on our own channel. But we need to take this talk abroad. We need to inculcate this into the minds of those people who matter. And until and unless we don't do that, where we have to accept India's pretty good at it, but we are not. So we need to be going ahead of India and trying to explain our view at what is happening in our part of the world. Now, what is happening here? I've always predicted that this part of the world, even before 1526, when Babur makes an advent into this part of the world, it has always been a troubled area. It is a tribal area. They're still tribal, and they'll remain tribal. So it is just a matter of time before the bubble bursts, and then of course we see another fireworks. So we need to be prepared for that. We need to strengthen our borders and create blockades that people just do not enter. We've got the line of control here, we've got the working boundary here, and that's the same thing we need to be doing with Afghanistan. And I think that is the solution. But we need to put them on the table and talk to them in a serious manner rather than have that usual communication links.
You earlier mentioned the role of the international community, particularly when we talk about the United States. A couple of days before, we saw that the State Department spokesperson, Mr. Matthew Miller, once again offered help to Pakistan in order to combat the menace of terrorism. Earlier, we had also seen a number of times the US offering this sort of a help. So how do you think Pakistan can capitalize on this particular offer by the US side in order to particularly combat terrorism here that emanates from the Afghanistan soil?
There are two aspects. One, we need to get our security forces right up to the top. They need to be equipped with the state of the art. Don't forget that the Taliban and the terrorists, they're far more advanced with their weaponry and with intelligence. We need to enhance our intelligence. We need to make it much more effective so that, even before the strike, we know what is going on. One. Two, we also need to apprise the world that, our economic situations, our defensive situations, our terrorist activities, which of course, from Afghanistan, then they've got these counterparts around here, which we know as the TTP. There should not be any kind of communication with any of them. Period. You don't need to talk to those people who kill you blatantly, who kill your sisters, daughters, and everybody so ruthlessly and mercilessly. Look at Spain. General Franco took over Spain against the Basque guerrillas. They still exist in the north, in Bilbao and all that. But after 30 years, when things subsided, everything, and he gave the reins of the government back to the monarchy. We need to be firm. We cannot be firm one day and then be absolutely, taking it easy the other day. The same thing has happened in the Swat offensive, that we gave them respite, they regrouped, they came back and attacked us. So we need to be, absolutely firm in our resolve to defeat this terrorism once and for all. We just cannot continue and linger on like this. We just cannot.
We're joined by another participant in the show on the phone line, Dr. Adam Saud, expert in international relations. Dr. Adam, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. Now, this big move by the authorities in Pakistan of expelling the illegal foreign immigrants back to their countries of origin. What's your understanding? What has prompted the Pakistani authorities to take this particular big move?
Tehami sir, thank you very much for inviting me to discuss my opinion on to this very important topic. I personally think the recent wave of terrorism is the main reason behind taking this decision, because we have seen that during this year, the terrorism, it has surged a lot. And according to the intelligence reports, around 60% of these terrorist attacks, they were carried out by the Afghan nationals. I say Afghan national, not refugees. So I mean, it has led the authorities to think about, once we have coped up with this terrorist thing, but now it is re-emerging and resurging. So it's the right time to take, strict and firm decisions whether we want to eliminate this terrorism from our soil or not. So the authorities, one of the major reasons is the recent rise in the terrorist attacks in Pakistan. Secondly, we see that the criminal activities, beyond terrorism, the criminal activities in Pakistani society, they have also surged over the period of time. And although, it's not only the Afghan citizens, the illegal Afghan citizens who are residing in Pakistan, but there are other people who are living in Pakistan as well. They are involved into that. And there are estimates that million of illegal immigrants, illegal non-nationals of Pakistan, they are living here in our country. So it's not, only against the Afghan nationals, illegal Afghan nationals who are living in Pakistan, but all the illegal nationals who are living in Pakistan. Recently the Foreign Office has also given the statement into this regard. The third important thing, which I personally think, is the economic, problems which Pakistan is right now facing. There are certain evidence that these criminals, they are involved into some economic, criminal activities. One of them is the dollar, that has been exported out of Pakistan through illegal means. They're also involved into that. So these are, I personally think these are the three important reasons that Pakistan has decided to take a stern action against the illegal immigrants, illegal nationals who are living in Pakistan.
Right. Regarding the first point that you have mentioned, Dr. Adam, vis-a-vis the resurgence of terrorism, Pakistan successfully defeated terrorism in the past. Now there's been a wave of terrorism once again. Majority of those attacks have been claimed by banned Taliban Pakistan. Pakistani authorities continuously and repeatedly asking the interim Afghan authorities to take concrete action against the banned Taliban Pakistan. Now, there is irrefutable evidence at the hands of the Pakistani authorities that the Afghan nationals are being found involved in various terrorist attacks that have been carried out in Pakistan in the recent past. We saw the interim Afghan authorities continuously, as a response to the call by the Pakistani authorities that they should be taking action against the banned Taliban Pakistan. The interim Afghan authorities were continuously denying the presence of TTP on the Afghan soil. Do you think after this particular evidence, as well as this particular move, the interim Afghan authorities is going to realize?
I don't think so. I don't think so they are going to realize, because it's crystal clear. There are irrefutable evidences. TTP is hiding in Afghanistan. They are being provided safe havens and sanctuaries over there. They are taking all the terrorist activities from the Afghan side. And it's not only the terrorist non-state actor, the TTP and all that, but we have seen that the border clashes between Pakistani and the Afghan security forces is another evidence that the Afghan government is not very much serious to combat the menace of terrorism, especially that emanates from Afghanistan to Pakistan. Today there was a meeting between the two foreign ministers of Pakistan and Afghanistan. They met in Tibet, and although there is no official statement, but there are reports that the terrorist activities emanating from Afghanistan that had been at the agenda of those meetings and discussions. But the Afghan authorities, they could not assure Pakistan, although they give statements that we don't allow any terrorist organization or elements against any country in the world. But since you have already explained it, that there are irrefutable evidences that the majority of the terrorist activities, they are being carried out from the Afghan side. So they are not doing anything against the terrorist elements who are taking sanctuaries in. So I personally think they are not even now they are not very much serious to tackle this issue to stop the terrorists who are taking all these activities against Pakistan from the Afghan side.
So even now, if the interim Afghan authorities are not going to realize and fulfill their international obligation, Dr. Adam, what possible options in the coming days do you think are left at the hands of the Pakistani authorities to deal with this matter?
Well, that is very important. One thing, the most important thing, every state in the world, it has all the rights to secure its sovereignty, whether it's the internal sovereignty or the external sovereignty. And all the states, they have the rights to take any action that is deemed necessary. So I think the most important agenda of Pakistan, it must be, and it will definitely be, to secure its internal the internal security of Pakistan. That is the most important. So I personally think one thing is that we need to strengthen the border security. Although we know that the border is porous, it's long border, it's harsh terrain. We have already taken certain steps. We fenced the border, but the Afghan authorities, Afghan security forces, they have cut down the fence from different points. But we need to again, take care of that. Second important thing is we need to convince international community that we have to take these stern actions against the illegal immigrants who are living in Pakistan, because we cannot set our internal security onto the stake. So this is the second important thing, because we have seen certain statements by the Human Rights Watch and other international organizations, UN, especially UNHCR as well, that Pakistan should not expel the illegal immigrants. So we need to realize them, to make them understand that we are not taking any action against the legal refugees or those people who are living in Pakistan peacefully. But we have to take action, because in the form of these illegal immigrants, the terrorists, they took refuge, and they actually put stake of the Pakistan security. We know that the next year, IMF, we are going to have the next round of negotiations with IMF. We are going to have negotiations with European Union regarding the GSP plus status. So all these things are very important, and we need to strengthen our border security. And I don't know who was talking before me, but the person who said he said it in a very right tone that we need to strengthen our security forces. We need to give them equipment. And for that, we need money. Nobody is going to come and support us in this time. You were talking about the US. I'm not going to discuss, because you have not asked that question to me. But I personally think we should not be relying on any country. We should be relying onto our own resources. We need to strengthen our public opinion in this particular. And I think this is the right time where most of the public opinion is into the favor of taking action. So these are 2-3 important things which I think we need to take during the coming period of time.
Dr. Saud, expert in international relations, thank you very much for joining us on the phone line. We really appreciate that. Brigadier Zeeshan, as Dr. Saud has also mentioned, and Mr. Mir was also alluding to the fact that we really need to work upon enhancing the border security, strengthening that. What's required for that?
Border security is within the capability and capacity of Pakistan Armed Forces and the intelligence apparatus we have in Pakistan. However, we certainly need high-tech equipment for surveillance and monitoring of the borders. Plus, we do need intelligence sharing with US agencies. I just want to highlight a few aspects which have been discussed, that the core issue is terrorism with Afghanistan, and the issue which is the next most important issue is smuggling, not only of commodities but also the dollar which is going inside Afghanistan. Now, what we should expect Pakistan state and our state institutions will be doing, I think the response involves direct measures and activities and indirect measures and activities. Direct measures and activities against terrorism is happening. Pakistan's armed forces and law enforcing agencies are engaged, and they are very effectively undertaking intelligence-based operations and targeting the TTP and other terrorist networks. Basically, the aim is to defeat their system of command, control and communications, put all the militants into disarray, and then pushing them out of Pakistan or neutralizing them within Pakistan. The other direct issue is anti-smuggling measures, which have been highlighted by various ministers very effectively, and especially in terms of what's happening in the dollar market. I just want to highlight that the most effective currency today in Afghanistan is the dollar, not Afghani or even Pakistani rupee is also used for trading in Afghanistan. However, it is the dollar. From where this dollar is coming? What is the export of Afghanistan that they are earning dollars? How much is the Afghan expats sending dollars back to Afghanistan? It's very less. So it is our dollars in circulation in Pakistan which are the main source of dollar requirements inside Afghanistan. So this is another main factor which is being directly handled by various actions and rules, regulations, enforcement.
Anti-smuggling drive has already been launched.
Yes. Now there are some indirect issues. What are these indirect issues? First of all, as has been highlighted, that Afghan nationals have been found in street crimes, in organized criminal gangs. And we all know that even in Islamabad, we sometimes hear about Afghan nationals organized or being caught doing street crimes. This is a social issue. This is something which has to be dealt effectively, and this is an indirect approach. However, there is another aspect which I am sure will be effectively approached, that is review and refining and updating our national database. This drive of registering Afghan refugees and Afghan nationals in Pakistan, identifying that who all are illegal and sending the illegal Afghan immigrants back to Afghanistan is going to support our refining and refreshing of updating of our national database. That is very important indirect approach or indirect action which should be taken by state of Pakistan.
Right, Brigadier Zeeshan, when undertaking this gigantic exercise, do you see any sort of challenges coming for the Pakistani authorities?
Our major challenge is our economic issue right now. We would need that assistance from international financial institutions, and certainly we need an understanding with the United States, because the international financial mechanism runs through United States. So that is one big challenge we have, because when you undertake kinetic operations against terrorism on war footing, it is very expensive. And today Pakistan's economy is in a situation where we do not have sufficient funds available with us because of various reasons to undertake a very large operation. So this is one aspect where the challenge will be there. The funding sources have to be channelized, and we need Western help in this regard. The second challenge is regarding the weaponry and the night vision devices and surveillance equipment available being used by Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which was left behind by international coalition, primarily US forces. Now, we do not have such sophisticated weaponry, and at this point in time, we certainly need an immediate support from United States or Western countries in order to develop that night vision, surveillance and fighting capability at a very in a very difficult geography, which is the border region of Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Right, Mr. Mir, when we talk about the response that we have seen from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, on one side it acknowledged Pakistan's generosity of having hosted millions of Afghan refugees for decades. At the same time, saying that we are ready to support Pakistan to create a mechanism of managing and registering these immigrants. How do you analyze both of these statements?
Look, there will always be illegal immigrants all over. I mean, even in countries like America, they're fighting this war with Mexico. And perhaps if you remember that, Donald Trump said that, he wants to build the wall. Well, it's all about, keeping illegal citizens out. In Europe, we've got a absolutely a catastrophic picture at the Calais, on the channel, where, in the containers, all these countries like Romania, Lithuania, Poland, and all that countries, from those countries, people want to get it Britain through containers. So this will always continue. But what we need to do is for solutions. Our borders are porous. We don't know illegal immigrants coming from India or Iran or Pakistan or some. So we need to be proactive on that. Now, as far as being proactive, I think the solution is when we speak to these Afghan counterparts, we should invite all our diplomatic corps and the two Pakistan and Afghan, the representatives should be talking in front of them, so that at least in the dispatches they can send it to their own countries that this is what Pakistan is saying, this is what Afghanistan. So this will create a more of an impact as far as our talks are concerned, because when we speak to each other, there are promises. So those promises have to be converted into implementation. The implementation is the problem. As far as the government of Afghanistan is concerned, I'm sorry to say, it has failed. It has miserably failed in curtailing terrorism, because if it hadn't failed, then we wouldn't see these cross-border terrorists, cause these skirmishes on the border. Because they need to be putting their foot down to stop all of this. We all know what the disease is. We all know what the problem is. But it is Afghanistan. The emphasis is on Afghanistan to rectify the situation. And as what Brigadier Zeeshan has just said, we need to be having intelligence sharing. Why do you think India shirks from it? Because they are the perpetrators of violence. They are the people who create violence and do not share intelligence. Yet, in the same breath, they blame Pakistan, even if a pigeon flies into their country. So we need to be sharing intelligence for the sake of the subcontinent, for the sake of the people in all the countries, to save humanity. But these people, I don't know what to look at. And that is a very tragic and sad way of dealing with such atrocities.
Mr. Mir, when it comes to the responsibility of the Western countries, particularly when we talk about the US, what happens to be the responsibility when it comes to taking those refugees to the US homeland? There is a certain specific process under which the immigrants can have immigration over there in the US. So do you think US, after the Kabul takeover by the Taliban, has fulfilled its promise towards those Afghans who had been helping the American troops over there or had been working for the US administration in Afghanistan for decades?
Look, as far as friendships are concerned, there are no friendships. There are interests. Interests remain, with their top priority. Friendship, one day we are friends, the next day we are foe. Look at what the Americans did to us, in the aircrafts. They didn't even give us the aircrafts, and they gave us wheat in turn, and that too we had to pay for it. So let's not bank on. It looks after its own interests, and we've got to look after our own interests. What we need to be doing is basically telling them, please don't arm us, don't give us all that arms and ammunition to fight, and we become your or on the other side. But what you need to be doing is improve the educational factors in our part of the world, of course, in the other part of the world, because that is the actual solution. Educating people at the ground level will at least curb the terrorism and curb this violence which we see in a modern day society. So I think we shouldn't be taking or putting all our eggs in one basket as what we educate Soviets or the Russians. I think we need to be doing it all over. And that only takes one thing, open up, go and talk to them. We mustn't be, as I've always said, penny wise and pound foolish. You invest and you get the dividends. You don't invest, somebody else will come and take the dividends. So what we need to be doing is creating think tanks which go out and plead or at least highlight Pakistan's case at every given platform or podium.
Zeeshan, talking about this response that has come from United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, what's your understanding of that?
United Nations High Commission for Refugees has its concerns. As I said earlier, that sending back millions of Afghans who are residing in Pakistan, whether illegally or legally or in refugee status, may not be possible immediately. However, Pakistan's state apparatus has, I think, come to the conclusion that this has to be done. UN refugee issues are based on United Nations Charter. And as per the United Nations Charter, if a country is not feasible for the life and economics of a particular segment, then they have the right to be refugees in other countries. As we know, the state in Afghanistan is such that the rights to education are not there for women. Right of employment or doing job or business with women is also not there, and anywhere in the world women are half of the population generally. In such situations, United Nations or any representative of the United Nations has an obligation to protect such refugees. Now, the issue why the statement from the UN representative had first the part that we understand that Pakistan has hosted them since some decades. Why it is so? Because, as I highlighted, that the Afghan refugees or Afghan illegal immigrants, they live in groups and they have established their localities in various cities of Pakistan. Those places are generally found aiding the terrorism in terms of logistics, in terms of providing accommodation for the militants and terrorists, and through them the terrorist outfits are doing reconnaissance of various locations which are to be hit by the militants and the terrorists inside Pakistan. So this is a source of concern for the state of Pakistan, which is also, I think, the United Nations representatives and all the Western diplomats in Pakistan must be very familiar with that, what are the issues pertaining to the refugees and the refugee colonies which are in various parts of Pakistani cities. So as per the statement, yes, UN representative has a responsibility towards the refugees, but the realization that what the refugee colonies or the clusters create problems for Pakistan, I think that realization is also there.
Brigadier Retired Muhammed Zeeshan, Director General, Center for Peace, Security and Developmental Studies, thank you very much for joining in the studio for today's show. Really appreciate your time. And Mr. Parvez Jamil, Senior Journalist. Mr. Meet, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Thank you very much for watching.